it has a sign that says no trespassing. This is not good.
Hello and welcome railway enthusiasts. Today I'm in Wodonga, Victoria, Australia to have a look at the old Wodonga railway alignment.
I just want to let you know that
in 1873, the North Eastern Railway line was extended to the small border town of Wodonga. The new train line ran right through the heart of town to Wodonga Station, and 10 years later was connected to New South Wales and became part of the busy Sydney to Melbourne railway line. As the year 2000 rolled around, Wodonga's population was nearing 27,000, let alone Albury's, and through freight movement on the line had increased dramatically, with projections to more than double in the coming decades. Residents were fed up with the loud trains thundering through at all hours and getting stuck at the 11 level crossings around the city. The line was also taking up prime real estate in the heart of Wodonga and was slower for trains to navigate through. In December 2000, the federal government committed to constructing the Wodonga Rail Bypass. With funding secured and ownership hurdles overcome, work finally began on the bypass in 2008, and by the 23rd of July 2010, the $125 million rail bypass was completed. After 137 years of operation, the original railway line through Wodonga was decommissioned. A new Wodonga railway station opened on the bypass in 2011 as rejuvenation plans were being put in place to preserve the original historic station. Over the past 15 years, parts of the old alignment have been sold off to private interests and redeveloped, whereas others still remain frozen in time. This is the story of how a railway line unified two states, two cities, and built one city twice. This is the old Wodonga railway alignment.
Lesson learnt.
And without further ado, let's slap on our iconic camouflage hats, sunglasses, and let's hop into the railway adventure. Pop in a Google Maps shot of where we are right now. We're here at the Southern Divergent, that's what I'm going to call it. All of this track here is the new alignment. That's looking towards Sydney. Shoop. That's looking towards Melbourne. And where I'm standing right now is on the old alignment. Train line would have once branched off there. I mean, it wouldn't have been a branch, it would have just come here. Shoop. There's my shadow. Very professional of me. And this was the old train alignment, and this was heading into Wodonga this way. Okay, let's start the railway related adventure. New alignment, old alignment. Can you see the embankment? Can you see the embankment?
it's too much, all right?
I don't exactly know what this all is, but it is here. Very overgrown at this point in time. That's looking towards Melbourne. That's looking towards the old Wodonga railway station. Down here, we actually have some remnants. Just scampered down the embankment. Got this little guy here.
Wodonga Sewage Authority.
Very old sign. Next to the sign, we have an old piece of train track, obviously a marker on the side of the line. The paint on this is actually in remarkably good condition. Beyond that, we have a Victorian Railways signalling and communication placard thing to warn you there's cables that run along the old train line. That's a remnant. There's also a rotting sleeper.
Who cares?
Up here's the off ramp. If you come off the Hume Highway, and down here we've got a drain. It's kind of boring, but what's kind of cool about it is we have a bridge that once would have had trains going over it. All right, let's jump back onto the railway alignment. On the side of the train track, we've got some type of metal box thing. Not too sure what this once was. Amongst the ballast, we've got some of these little thingy-bobs that would have held the rail to the sleepers. Starting to get further and further away from the new alignment as we head into the heart of Wodonga. Got another remnant down here. It's an old like little signalling enclosure type thing. Would have had electronics and that sort of stuff in there. That's looking towards Melbourne. We got more sort of line side bits of train track that have been used for markings. There you go. Wow, incredible. And then over here there's just a sign talking about buried power cables. We're now underneath the bridges of the Hume Highway. One thing I have noticed is these new bridge pylons have been placed in such a way where it wouldn't have interrupted the train line when it was still in use. Underneath the southbound bridge, we have a signalling remnant, enclosure box type thing, still locked all these years later. Maybe it's still in use for the current railway line, not 100% sure. Vendor looking fly. So let's keep going towards Wodonga. I'm fully aware that this alignment's probably going to lead me to a dead end and I'll have to divert all the way back around here. Found an old dog spike here. I'm not going to take that home with me because here it tells a story, and on my shelf it means absolutely nothing. We've got like a little cross section of train track. That's pretty cool. Looking towards Melbourne. Speaking of cool, look at this. We've got an ex-army Mack truck. But yeah, we're just sort of behind all these businesses. These fence lines would have existed because yeah, this is the railway corridor. As you can see, this part of the old alignment has now been used as a storage yard for earth moving equipment.
Sir, you're parked in the middle of the train line.
That's looking towards Melbourne. What I think is cool is you can definitely see this sort of earthworks and how the building would have once run along the train line, but it's just a piece of grass. Along this new fence line, we've got the sort of crumpled up remains of pipes that looks like once held signalling wires. Look towards Melbourne. All right, we've got this pit thing. Let's have a look. Little wiring pit type thing. I'm sure a snake lives in there, so let's keep moving. Look at these wonderful flowers here. We're now behind the Ford dealership. That's pretty insecure. I could just walk right in. Looking towards Melbourne. Railway alignment here. You can see, as I was talking about, how the buildings sort of snake along with the old train alignment. This is dope. Have a look at this. Oh man, I thought it was a whole bunch of old insulators. Now it's just beer cans. They're actually full though. That is really weird.
Metallic remnants.
We've got bunnies all over the place out here. It looks like where these cars are now parked, that would have been the train alignment, because it's sort of like moundious and there's lots of ballast there. I think I'm just sort of walking along a service road or something at this point, but I sort of got to keep my distance from these businesses. Check this out, an old bridge. That's absolutely fascinating. I'm sorry, Isuzu dealership, I have to jump up near your truck because I need to look at this. Made our way up to the top of the alignment. Yeah, we're definitely in someone's property right now, but have a look. Wooden trestle bridge here. And the later cement bridge here. Looking towards Melbourne, looking towards Sydney. And once again on the side of the train line where the trucks are parked, they're actually up on the old railway alignment. I feel so awkward right now. We're just like, guys, I'm not breaking into your business. I'm just trying to film railway history. The train track now comes to a temporary fence. Do I go through? I'm really not too sure. This massive shed has been built right in the middle of the train track. Looking towards Sydney. Down there, it looks like it's got a more beefier fence. I'm probably just gonna turn around now. Do not try this at home, but I'm just brazenly gonna walk through this truck dealership. I mean, what are they gonna do? Kick me out? That's what I'm trying to do. Get the heck out of here. Shh, I'm totally not here right now. Alignment. All right, let's just get out of here. Probably a good thing I wore a high vis today. Getting away with nonsense. Just gotta get to this grass and we've made it out scot-free. Once again, do not recommend blatantly walking through someone's business, but hey, there wasn't a fence. I wasn't too brazen. Let's continue on towards Wodonga and Sydney, I guess.
Let's continue the journey.
We're now turning the corner onto Melrose Drive to pick up that train track where I left off. What I reckon's pretty cool is this dealership still has the old Holden signage still in place. That's a remnant. After a little bit of walking, we have made our way to the alignment. So this is the section that I chickened out from. Down there you can see the temporary fence, and that's where I just blatantly went through the truck yard. That's looking towards Melbourne. Wodonga Prestige Body Shop is built directly on the old alignment. We have a whole bunch of goats. Hello! Hey! So the train track would have swept shoop, shoop, across here and now into what is part of the Wodonga Cemetery. This was once a level crossing.
Hello, this is Obex Shenanigans here to let you know that this is what the Melrose Drive level crossing looked like back in November 2009. This is looking towards Melbourne. This is looking towards Sydney. This is Floyd Bromley, Bromley. Oops.
Unfortunately, I don't have boom gates, so this might take a while to cross.
Crossing the road. Try not to get run over.
Noticing there's a sign for a gas main there, so I'm assuming maybe the gas lines used to run along the train line too. Temporary fence, let's just brazenly whoop, whoop, go into the cemetery. Okay, we are on the old alignment. Looking towards Melbourne there. Shoop. On this side of the level crossing we have remnants, possibly part of the old boom gates. Walking towards Sydney. One of the objectives of realigning the train track to the outskirts of Wodonga was to open up new land in the CBD of Wodonga, and you can see here that the Wodonga Cemetery has annexed all of this land for future residents. I don't want to die, but I would love to be buried under the old train line. Looking towards Melbourne on the side of the train track, we've got an old danger, high voltage, Postmaster General underground cable. Before excavating here, contact nearest postmaster. I sort of feel like the tufts of grass sort of indicate where sleepers were once pulled out of the ground. As you can see, we're now met with a giant fence. That's looking down the train line back towards Melbourne. And as you can see, if we wanted to go to Sydney, we would have to go directly through the Ron Finnemore's yard,
Which has been built directly over the old train track.
I'm going to take a divergent once again. It's very obvious to see where the old train line was because there's just nothing here, and then it's just a fully fledged cemetery here. Old train alignment there. Wondering if this pet food factory used to have a siding? Not 100% sure. Anyway, we're now going to do a giant divergent around and join the train track on Kelly Street. As that hoon peels off, we are now on the corner of Stangers Road and Kelly Street. We also have a pound here, so if you need a dog, come on down. We've got some loving dogs here that need new homes. All right, back to the railwayness. Trundling. We are now trundling along Kelly Street. Here is the former Kelly Street level crossing.
This is what it looked like in November 2009.
That's looking down the old train line towards Sydney.
This is what it looked like in November 2009.
That's looking back towards Melbourne.
This is what it looked like in November 2009.
This is what it looked like in November 2009.
This is what it looked like in November 2009.
Old Kelly Street level crossing complete. This sign here is so weird. It's like upside down and it's talking about a hotel, yet this is just a random storage yard. I'm assuming they mean to update this, but it's just never happened. Jumping off Kelly Street, jumping onto Forest Mars Avenue. Where these cars are now is a road that once ran parallel with the train line. Oh look, a telecom pit.
Who cares?
That storage yard and this salvage yard is all built on top of the old train tracks. Directly after the towing yard, you can see where the earthworks now start for the old train alignment. It looks like when they were clearing out this site, they dumped a whole bunch of the soil that made up the railway mound, sort of on top of the old railway mound.
Incredible.
New tow trucks here, and check out this old gem. That's awesome.
Absolutely incredible.
Looking towards Melbourne, looking towards Sydney. A whole bunch of wonderful sprouters now sprouting in the middle of the old alignment. I love that we have a poppy here. We are remembering the trains that once were here. We are now at the precipice to the bridge that once went over Sangers Road. Have a look at this. Have a look at the old pylons still here. It's incredible. That's looking towards Sydney. At the precipice of where the actual bridge span would have been, we still have Thingamy-Bob. No clue what this is, but it's here. Even though there's actually no bridge spans left, still got the old low clearance sign. And the remnant mounting points of where that little bar thing would have gone. So the truck crashes into the bar, not the bridge span. This pylon's made out of brick and this one's made out of cement. So I'm going to assume the cement one was built later. Where the little protection bar thing would have been on this side, there's like little markings that would have been hidden for many years. The old crumbling bridge spans were in place for many years after abandonment, but a few months ago, all of a sudden, they came and removed the old bridge spans, and there was a full thing with a crane and everything. I'll slot in some footage of what that looked like. Here you can see the destruction is fully underway. The demolition has begun. I would assume that they decided to remove the bridge spans because there obviously no maintenance has been performed since the rail line closed. All the wooden bridge deck is disintegrating. Bits of ballast is probably going to fall on people's heads, blonk on someone's car. And there's actually no fence on the left side, so kids are probably going to want to climb all over it. So it's only a matter of time till someone falls off of it, falls through it. It just looks like a huge disaster. And I think this is now owned by the council as well, so they'll end up getting sued. So I can see why they just decide to get rid of it. Also, with no bridge spans there, it just means heavy vehicles, big tall men can thunder through there unrestricted. So I guess it's just for the best, but it's sad to see. Sangers Street Bridge. Got a little bike path here which leads us to the next ruins of the bridge, but look at this piece of train track used as a fence pole. You can see the old railway embankment sort of towering over us here on the bike path, and here's the old bridge remnants. As we get closer to the bridge, I'm starting to wonder if that used to be a road forward sort of thing. Like this actually used to be a road which once hooked onto here. Not 100% sure, but it certainly looks like it.
Ford remnant?
There's bits of train track holding up this forward, so yeah, it could have been an actual road, or maybe it was just a service road for the people when they built the bridge / maintaining it over all these years. The bridge spans here were removed just only a few months ago, just like the other bridge. They did it at the same time. First they did the Sangers Road, and then they did this one.
Hey, Will James Railways here. I thought I would throw in some Google Maps imagery showing the House Creek Railway Bridge before the decaying bridge spans were removed. I always intended to document the abandoned bridges, but I left it too long and missed my chance. Hopefully this crude cobbled together documentation will suffice.
But I digress.
Old bridge here might just sneak up onto the old train alignment. Coming up on the precipice of the bridge. Pretty cool.
Magnificent.
That's looking towards Melbourne. Shoop, spinning around. That is looking towards Sydney. Scrambled down from the embankment. Bridge remnants here.
This is what the House Creek Bridge looked like in June 2022, back when it was still intact.
I'm sorry, I have to mention it. I am a deep end gunzel. Even this bridge has a bridge protector. And guess what it's made out of? Old train track. Look, railway remnants. We're under the bridge.
Dairy.
He's coming, he's coming. Shire of Wodonga, Forest Mars Bridge. This bridge was opened on the 23rd of August 1972. This bridge symbolises the link between industry and the community necessary to build a better world for all of us to live in. Forest Mars Ave here. I'm sorry, I need to look at the train track. Says 77 South Street. I'm just going to blatantly walk in here. I'm aware that there's like literally nothing in here, and there's only 8 people watching this video right now. That's looking towards Melbourne. This is looking towards Sydney. You can actually see an old railway cutting, so it's kind of worth coming in here. On my way out, I actually noticed a fish plate buried in the soil. I love, in front of this unit complex, how grungy this light fixture is. It's caged in, it's ready for anything. Even you swooping it. That's looking down the old train alignment towards Melbourne. As you can see, this is all like caravan sales yards. All of this is built on top of the old train track. This is where we are, by the way. Looking down the train line towards Melbourne, turning around and looking down the train line towards Wodonga Station, just over there, and Sydney eventually. 360. And turn our attention to the Wodonga railway station precinct. I'm assuming that all of this land here would have been goods yards and other sheds and that type of thing to do with the railways. As was the plan, the land around the train station and the alignment itself is now being redeveloped. Outside of Repco, you got one of these like 90s Holden rebadges of a Toyota. I think this almost looks like a Camry, and it's looking super clean as well. I'd pick that out of the crowd as a Camry, but nope, it is a Holden. It's good to see that someone is preserving that weird bit of rebadge history. Old Wodonga train station just down there. I noticed that this street is called Aurora Way. One would assume named after the Southern Aurora. For some reason we have 2 fire trucks here in front of the old Wodonga train station. I hope the train station's alright. Here we are, the old Wodonga railway station. I'm not going to go into immense detail on the station complex because I've already filmed a video on it. I'm going to link it in the description, whack a card on it. It's when I went to the goods shed with Will James Railways.
G'day everyone, my name's Will and welcome.
One thing I didn't show off that much was these old pictures plastered on these replica railway carriages, which show off what Wodonga railway station used to look like, and I guess the surrounding railwayness. More old photos of the Wodonga railway station precinct adorning the outside of a coffee shop, or maybe sushi, I don't know. Lots of different eateries and stuff here. It's good to see that they're using the old station complex. Old platform edge here. What I think is cool is these old trolleys. I reckon those probably would have been part of the railways and now they're still in use as a cleaning trolley. Approaching the goods shed.
That is the goods shed.
That's looking towards Melbourne. This is looking towards Sydney. And this is an extremely fabulous old Holden.
It's being used as a daily driver at the moment.
Making our way through Junction Place. Got these big gantries here. I'm not 100% sure if they were actually gantries here back when this was a railway line.
This is what the signal gantry looked like back in November 2009.
You can see sort of the tiling here nodding to the train tracks that were once here. That's looking towards Melbourne. The train track once would have swooped through where this Coles now is, and that's looking towards Sydney.
And this is absolutely incredible.
Junction Square.
There once was a pretty busy level crossing here.
These magnificent Google Street View images of the former High Street level crossing were taken back in 2009. This area is almost completely unrecognizable today, which makes it very quite interesting. Smash like and subscribe if you like trains.
On this water fountain we have a photo of the level crossing. Incredible. We've got absolutely fabulous artworks over here. Look at that, spirit of progress. We like trains. And then over here we have a spray painted graphic featuring a train. Train station over there. Continuing the journey along here. This all was train tracks once. On the side of the building they have listed in the cement the main stops along the Northeast Railway line, or whatever we're meant to call it. Melbourne, Seymour, Wodonga, Goulburn, Sydney.
On a completely unrelated note, I just love the Wodonga Masonic Centre. It looks so classic.
All very exciting. It's been a good day so far. I wonder what the afternoon will bring.
We've got a railway remnant, an old milestone. The Melbourne to Sydney railway line operated on this site from 1883 until March 2010.
It's now 12 o'clock or thereabouts.
That's looking down the train line towards Melbourne. Train would have come across here and continued along here towards Sydney. There isn't a great deal left, but there is one remnant. The giant railway embankment and this little catwalk that would have gone along the tracks. Looking towards Sydney, looking towards Melbourne. The train track would have been up on a sort of rail embankment, but you can see that this new road here is drastically lower. So obviously some point after closure they excavated it, and yeah, it sort of slopes down way more than a train could handle. Looking back towards Melbourne, I reckon this road was put in after the closure of the railway line. It just sort of goes exactly where the train track used to be, and it looks very new. Looking back towards Melbourne, just on the side of, I guess once would have been the train line, we've actually got a sign. Welcome to the High Country Rail Trail. This must have been where the Cudgewar line spurred off. Somewhere up here is where the convergence point would have been with the old Melbourne to Sydney line. That's looking towards Cudgewar. I filmed a few videos on the Cudgewar railway line. Check them out, I've whacked them in the description. This is the start of the High Country Rail Trail, and you can go roughly about 80 kilometers all the way up to Shelley. It's an awesome ride. At the start of the rail trail, we've got sort of a little garden here, which features old railway sleepers. This one's even got a fish plate.
Dairy.
Dairy.
Continuing forth towards Sydney.
Sorry to interrupt the chakra flow of the video, but this is what the Osborne Street level crossing looked like back in November 2009.
Running here is Osborne Street, and as we spin around sort of looking towards Sydney, we're now entering a whole big yard area. There would have been heaps of different tracks here and lots of stuff like that. And we've got this like crispy building here, not too sure what that is. There's a little sign. There's a door open on this building. Some type of like little signalling room. I guess this building once would have been used to control the level crossing of Osborne Street. That's what it looks like at least. And that room we just checked out was the backup battery that would have operated it if the power went out. Right in front of what I'm calling the level crossing building, we actually have metallic remnants from a switch, and you can actually see a really old VR logo on there. It would have shot all the trains off into the various roads here in the yard. Got some remnants here of like little things that would have brought the wires along and would have helped them change points from the signal box. At least that's what I think it is. Let me know if I'm wrong. You can still see some of the lighting posts that would have lit up the old expansive railway yard. Got some more points ruin things here. Looking towards Sydney. Look, dog spikes underneath the tree. Looking towards Sydney, I reckon this would have been the main line here, and it almost looks like there's a divergence point for a siding that would have once ran down here. I'm going to whack in a screenshot of just the various sidings and random stuff that once spurred off in this yard complex.
I don't have time to go into depth on all the remnants of the Wodonga coal sightings in this video, but what's really cool to see is the two old X-vans rusting away on Bradford Street. There isn't much to see here today, but there once were heaps of buildings here, including a signal box that controlled the Wodonga coal siding. There was also a siding that served as cement works and a siding for a Caltex oil facility.
Despite not being on an active railway line, it looks like this pole is still owned by Victrac. Just found a historical plaque which might shed some light on what the heck we're looking at. It's very sun damaged, but Wodonga coal yards.
Very damaged, but there's some type of little map here.
I know I'm a pole dork, but have a look at this. This one still has the original Victorian Railways inspection plate. The last time the VR inspected this pole was March 1985. Random concrete ruin. Here in the abyss of the railway yard, still got an old sleeper in the ground. Everywhere you look, you've just got remnants. Sleeper. Whole bunch of sleepers still in the ground here. We're coming up on the foundations of a building. There's a train track running here. Another piece of rail here. Oh, look at this. There's actually still rails in the ground over here. Still got train tracks in the ground. All these years later, just rusting away. That is so cool. We're now on this sort of cement pad with the rails running through it. All around us we've got these concrete things that maybe used to hold gantry crane, maybe just a roof over this thing. I'm not 100% sure. I have no clue what this building even was. Even if this was a building, I don't know. Even though there isn't any sleepers and one rail's missing, you can still sort of tell with the tufts of grass where the sleepers once were. That's looking towards Melbourne. Yep, bit of a pan of the yard. As I said, there's just remnants all over the place. Let's continue on towards Sydney. Random piece of pipe or whatever. Over here we've got some more stuff. Old sleeper, we've got some rails here.
Nice.
Looks like there would have been a train track that went now inside this tree. Looking towards Melbourne, sort of coming to the end of the yard, and there's even a power pole in the middle of this swamp. Were there tracks down here too? I have no clue. Major remnants here. This was once the Wodonga coal siding, and we've got bits of coal all over the place. That is so cool. Looks like we've got an old Ford Fiesta here. I mean, it's a little bit weathered, but you know, it should buff out. Train lines there, old cars here. There's actually a little walking path. Bridge? I've explored these yards before and I had no clue this was here. This is so nice. The path goes up here. I guess it just sort of goes along the
Murray Valley Highway.
It's pretty low key. Back to the main Melbourne to Sydney line. We've got sort of little stanchion things that would have held up a wire cable thingamy-bob, and we're coming up on an old bridge.
Dairy.
2 wooden decked bridges, and then we've got a cement bridge here. As a railway historian, I'm always wanting to stick my head underneath the new bridges to see the remnants of the old wooden trestle bridges that the new bridges replaced. And as you can see, we've got foundation ruins. It looks like to me that all 3 of these bridges that are here now, once upon a time, would have been wooden trestle bridges until they were ultimately replaced by these. It's so green and luscious down here with the creek. Actually kind of relaxing except for the constant traffic noise. Okay, let's go hop back up. I like how the original pedestrian part of the bridge is now engulfed in a giant tree. Taking a stroll over the old bridge. This new barrier has been put in within probably the last year or so, because this is sort of like a bike path now. It's kind of a bit unknown, but yeah, that's the Hume Highway here. Got the bridges. And it looks like we have, hidden amongst the foliage, another abandoned bridge. It looks like it might have just been a little bridge for a vehicle service road that went along the train track. Well, of course, we've got the obligatory shopping trolley that someone has yeeted off the bridge. Looking back over the bridges towards Melbourne, looking under the new Hume Highway bridges towards Sydney. Looks like it's not safe to own a Ford in Wodonga. Looks like it used to be a Fairmont, but now, well, it's a pile of rubble. What a mess. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Yikes. Looks like it's been here for a while. Sprouter. What junk do we have in the trunk? Or the boot, as we call it here in Australia. I don't know, random clothes, bits and pieces, you name it. Next to the stolen car, we've got a big pile of rubbish. But what is actually kind of cool is this old telecom cable marker. And look at this, we actually did get it to have a look at that bridge. Just a little service road bridge. Illegally dumped rubbish inspection. It looks like it was a family that kind of yeeted all their stuff here. We've got Christmas decorations. We've even got Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore would not like this. He would be very sad to see this destruction of the environment. We do like cars, but we also really like trains. So let's get back to the train track.
Oh, look at those pieces. Look at this gallery, man. This is epic. Look at that piece. What? Authorised personnel only? Oh, you ruined for us riders.
Just like the other new Hume Highway bridge built over the old train track, it looks like there was the allowance for the trains to keep running underneath here. There's enough room for all 3 tracks. That's looking towards Melbourne, and this is what I was sort of talking about with this sort of quote-unquote bike path. It just sort of peters out over here at this very busy roundabout. There's no proper way to cross the road. There's no footpath. It's a mess.
I don't need this bull.
Looking back down the train line towards Melbourne. Let's just get across this road without getting run over. Everyone is flying around here. Oh my goodness. Let's run across here. Now that I've safely crossed, I don't think this would have actually been a level crossing, because I don't know if this road would have existed back when the train line was operational. We're now at the old railway bridge that would have crossed the Wodonga Creek. Got the Hume Highway bridges here. Wonderful Wodonga Creek. It's flowing quite rapidly, probably a lot of snow melt in there this time of year. And yeah, got the old railway bridge here. And what bridge would not be complete without its obligatory shopping trolley? It's actually time to cross the bridge.
Just at the precipice of the bridge, gotta show you guys more little numbery things.
That's looking down the old train alignment towards Melbourne. Shoop! Shoop! This is looking towards Sydney. I almost wonder if this part of the rail track here isn't actually technically a bike path. They just had to put these barriers here so people didn't jump into the water. I say that just because, yeah, it's not very well signposted and it's kind of unkept. Wonderful river, fabulous old historic railway bridge. The water's so sort of dark blue. I don't know how to describe the color, but yeah, I thought it would be more murky. This is so nice down here.
It's an immense spot.
That water is really flowing. I'm assuming these holes that are peppered along all the little bridge spans would have been used as anchor points when they were hoisted down with a crane. And after that, I guess they would have functioned as drainage holes.
This is where I've got to keep my eyes peeled for snakes. It's warm and I'm right next to a river, which is prime snake habitat, so just keeping my eyes peeled. Got my long pants on today, so but I'm almost at this spot. I'm hoping there's no one down here. There's quite a few people around today.
This is a remnant, still got an old distance marker here. That's a modern marker. Train lines that closed a while ago would still have like milestones and that sort of thing. Along the right side of the train track, we've got more of those little wire tray holder uppery things. Looking towards Sydney.
Looking back towards Melbourne.
Looking back towards Melbourne and the cement and steel bridge we just walked over. Noticing on the side of the train track, the right hand side, that there's sort of an embankment mound. I'm wondering if this is an even older railway alignment for a bridge that maybe predated the bridge we just walked across. Could just be seeing things I don't even know what the heck I'm talking about, but just thought I'd mention it. It's actually the ruins of the building. There's concrete foundations and everything. Currently standing on a cement pad here. There's like the remnants of like a shed or something. There's like a vent here. Not sure what that was, but as you can see, someone has made a little house here, a little fishing nook. That's so cool. And there's like there's even a little banister, a fence thing so you don't fall in the river. I was not expecting this. Saucepan, dirt bike tire, little chair that's been cobbled together, a fireplace with a little chimney flue. That's so dedicated. Their chimney is partially made out of those little stanchion things. Bit of a view from the balcony.
I was fishing here yesterday, right here.
Random shack exploration complete. All right, we're back on track. Let's keep going.
That's looking back towards Melbourne. Here's a view of this creek here, continuing towards Sydney. Looks like that wire tray thing would have ran along the side of the bridge. Someone's coming out here and snacking on roast chickens. I'm slightly startled.
That right there is enough to just make me say it all.
If you look closely in the bushes, you can see the bridge of the new train alignment starting to emerge.
I've got goosebumps.
Ah! Okay, my phone battery died. It's now about 3 hours later. I've had to walk all the way into Wodonga, charge my phone. Now I'm back. I was only a few hundred meters from the end of the rail alignment. Anyway, I'm back. Let's film the rest of this alignment. Because I put way too much detail in my video, I'm gonna hop down here, get some shots of the bridge looking sort of side on. All right, back up top. One benefit of my camera dying is returning at almost 6 o'clock at night. We've got some very nice lighting. Hey! That's looking towards Melbourne. This is looking towards Sydney.
Ho!
Old alignment here, heading towards Sydney. Got the new alignment creeping closer and closer. We are now approaching the final bridge of the old alignment. At the precipice of the bridge, we've got like random signaling stuff. We got the new railway alignment bridge on the left and the old defunct one on the right. At the convergence of the old bridge and the new bridge is where the old alignment deviates. Looking down the old bridge towards Sydney. Just like the start of the alignment in West Wodonga, there's still an old dog spike here, reminding us of the history. That's looking towards Melbourne. You might have noticed that there's no barriers on the side of this bridge. It's raw. It's like pretty much exactly what it looks like after they ripped the rails up. Still even got the ballast here.
Just keeping my eyes peeled.
You could fall off this bridge, so it's kind of dangerous, but there's something even worse underneath it. There is a slithering serpent down there. All right, I'm gonna hop down here for a sec, get some side views of the bridge.
It's just on and on, blatant ignorance.
Side view of the last bridge of the old Wodonga alignment before it connects to the Spirit of Progress bridge. Super blown out, just blatantly gonna put my hand over it. Bridge, old bridge, side view. Got the old bridge here, some wonderful artwork. And right next to it, we have the new bridge. The bridges are getting closer and closer. You could easily just step from the old bridge onto the new bridge. That's looking towards Melbourne. That's a train track. That's looking towards Sydney.
The bridges are getting closer and closer and closer.
Look at this. The new bridge is now eating the old bridge. Obviously, when they built the new bridge, they had to chip away at the old one to make sure that it all hooked up as it was meant to.
And this is absolutely incredible.
Bit of a close-up of the chipped away concrete. We actually have some of the wire tray type things that would have carried wire along the train line. It's missing its lid, but at least some of it's there. Old bridge on the left, new bridges on the right. That's looking towards Melbourne, and the train track would have whooshed along here, and I guess just somewhere down here is where the convergence point would have been for the old and the new alignment. There's no way of telling that today. Now that the old alignment has met the new alignment, I suppose, well, this is the alignment, and that's looking over the Spirit of Progress Bridge into New South Wales and Sydney beyond. With the power of my own 2 feet, I have made my way to the northern convergence point of the former Wodonga railway alignment and the current Sydney to Melbourne train line alignment type thing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like railway related videos, history videos like this, please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have watched all the way to this point, I want you to write egg salad sandwich in the comments. Oh boy, the things I asked you to do. Anyway, smash like, and yeah, if you like abandoned building explorations as well, and you haven't subscribed, I would highly recommend subscribing. And with that, I think I'm gonna head home. Thanks very much, and I'll see you with the next video exploration thing. All right, goodbye.